All right, guys. So 1 4 literal equations is literally just equations solving for a variable. So literal equations are equations where the variables represent both known and unknown values. To solve a literal equation, we are basically rearranging the given equation. It's transforming the equation into a different order. So take a look at number 1 with me. All right. Sorry, these are kind of spread out crazy. Number 1 says solve V equals LWH. Solve for H. So what you're going to do is basically just solve the equation for the given variable. So they want us to get H by itself. To do that, I need to get everything else away on the right side of the equal sign because we want to get H by itself. So I know L and W are being multiplied by H. So I'm going to divide both sides by LW, and I'm left with V over LW is equal to H. Number 2 says solve AX minus B equals C, solve for X. So they want us to basically get X by itself. So I'm going to draw on my railroad tracks just to say nice and organized. I want to get X by itself, so I need to move everything away from the X to get X by itself. Farthest to closest, that variable, right? So to do that, I'm going to add B to both sides. All right, I'm left with AX, all right, is equal to C plus B. They want me to get X by itself, so let's divide both sides by A. I'm left with X is equal to C plus B over A. We're basically rearranging the equation, guys, all right? So let's go ahead and try number 3. A couple ways to solve number 3. I'm gonna move this down a bit. Many of you are gonna see this. It says solve for times the quantity of R plus 3 is equal to J. Solve for R. A couple ways you can approach this. Okay, many of you are going to distribute. Personally, that's what I would have done as well. So we're gonna get 4R plus 12 is equal to J. We want to get R by itself. So to do that, I need to move everything else to the other side of the equation. I'm going to start by undoing this. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. Subtract 12 on both sides. I'm left with 4R is equal to J minus 12. How do I get R by itself? Well, divide both sides by 4. I'm left with R is equal to J minus 12 over 4. Some of you also are going to see this. Okay, there's another way you could solve it. And you're going to say, hey, Ms. Swiderski, can I divide both sides by 4 right away? And I'm left with R plus 3 is equal to J over 4. Yeah, then you would subtract both sides by 3. You get R is equal to J over 4 minus 3. Same thing if you take a look in our other answer here. 12 divided by 4 is, or negative 12 divided by 4 is that negative 3. You're going to get the same answer. Okay. This next one, it says solve A equals 1/2 H times quantity of A plus B. Solve for B. So to do that, I need to get everything away from this B. I'm going to start from the outside in. So the opposite of multiplying by a fraction is multiplying by its reciprocal, right? So I can multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of this 1/2. So when I do that, if I multiply this side by 2, those are going to clear, and I'm also going to multiply the left-hand side by 2. So I'm left with 2A is equal to, I have H times the quantity of A plus B. Now I want B by itself. I'm still working on this outside part of this right-hand side of the equation. I'm going to get rid of H by dividing both sides by H. I'm left with 2A over H is equal to A plus B. I want to get B by itself, so I'm going to subtract both sides by A. Now, when I do that, this is very similar to solving equations with numbers, but we're just solving for variables, right? So I'm left with, when I subtract A on both sides, we get 2A over H minus that A equals B. All right, we're just getting you the habit of solving for a variable. Let's take a look at number 5. So number 5 says solve for R. So when I look at this, the only thing I can do on the right-hand side here, it says R divided by 3. The opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So here's what a lot of you guys are going to do. You're going to say times by 3 times by 3. I see a lot of 8th graders write 3y plus x is equal to R. Okay, do you think that's right or wrong, and why? Well, many of you are going to notice that, hey, if I'm multiplying this by 3, technically I'm multiplying everything on the left-hand side by 3. So 3 times y is 3y, and then 3 times x is 3x. So make sure you're remembering to distribute that 3 to everything. Now they want us to do 6. It says solve for w. So it says p equals 2l minus 2w. I want to get this w by itself, so I'm going to move everything on the right-hand side of the equation over to the left, right, working from the outside in like we talked about in class. So I'm going to subtract 2l on both sides. So I'm left with p minus 2l equal to 2w. Now divide both sides by 2, and I'm left with, whoa, p minus 2l over 2 equals w. Okay, that is one way you could write it. That's one answer. Another answer you could have would be p, well, since I'm dividing 2, I could say p over 2 minus, if I do 2l divided by 2, I'm just left with l equals w. Either of those would be acceptable answers. Okay. All right, I'm going to have you guys try number 7 on your own, and I'm going to hop in on number 8. Okay, so number 8 says solve 3x plus 2y equals 4x minus y, solve for y. So I always start by drawing in my railroad tracks. All right, I'm going to subtract 4x on both sides. You get negative x plus 2y is equal to negative y. I'm going to subtract 2y on both sides. I'm left with negative x is equal to negative 3y. Divide both sides by negative 3. When I do that, I'm left with x over 3, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, is equal to y. Now, some of you may have done it the opposite way. You may have subtracted 3x on both sides and added y. You should still get to the same answer, because that's two-step equations, okay? So send me an email. You're doing number 7 tonight. This is literal equations where we're solving for variables in equations for just a variable. If you have questions, please let me know. I know you guys are going to do great with this.